Drive less, save more. Ride Coda with the Transit app. Download today for a $4.50 credit. There's a new way to pay at Coda.
It used to be hard to find the exact auto parts you needed, and that meant spending a lot of time at swap meets. It's a different game now when you can order exactly what you need from eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts, so you can always find the right fitment. Spend less time searching and more time building with the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
What is going on? You are listening and watching Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition on the Get Vocal platform. And I'm your host, Steve V, alongside Cody Maurice Doggett. How the hell are you, Cody?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Counting the way down to Christmas. And
Oh my gosh, she's almost here.
Yeah, after this is episode 324, and we've got 2 more episodes before the end of the year. So very excited about that. They're going to be good ones. One of the things I did, Cody, is I went ahead and watched one of the 2 gay-themed Christmas movies that are out there, at least the 2 that I know that are out there. One of them that I haven't watched that you started watching is The Bitch That Stole Christmas.
Yes, I need to get on that, honey.
I want to watch that too.
Yes.
But I did watch the Michael Urie Single All the Way, which I have to say was really great. It's on Netflix. It also stars Kathy Najimy and Jennifer Coolidge.
I love them.
Yeah, it was really actually good. You know, when you watch a Christmas movie, there's a smaltz factor, yuck of it all that you just have to kind of get into. But honestly, it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. Michael Urie is adorable in it, as is the counterpart, the guy that plays his roommate. And I won't give away anything, but it's a really cute Christmas story on Netflix, Single All the Way. Highly recommend it. Put it on, you won't be disappointed. So yeah, hi live audience. This is a live audience, and I'm glad one of our live audience members, Jin Haas, commented, Cody. Welcome to the show, Jin, as everybody else. But you commented, Jen, on a topic we were talking about on TAGSPodcast, episode 323, about would you masturbate in front of your partner? And if you remember, this was all stemmed from, and just like that, the Sex and the City reboot, where Carrie asks Big, do you masturbate? And then she goes on to say, would you masturbate in front of me? And we thought, hey, that's pretty big for a hetero couple to ask that question.
Totally.
And even less. So we thought we'd put ourselves to the test. And Jen commented on my posting of it. He said, I've dated a couple guys before, and I've never done this, mainly because they saw masturbating as cheating. So I wasn't clear, Jen, if you meant you saw it as cheating as well, or if just your partners thought it was cheating. Let us know on that. But it's an interesting thing that I think the old me, when I was younger, I would have definitely been jealous, Cody.
Really?
For sure. Yeah, I think it's so silly to me now. And okay, Jen just clarified it. They saw it as cheating, which I never understood.
Yes.
I think I never wanted to talk about it or ask any of my previous boyfriends. I think I was so, we're going to talk a little bit about in Vulnerable Voices today about our bodies and being perfect. I'm using air quotes. And I think when we don't have a lot of examples, we'll get more into that. I'm jumping all the way to Vulnerable Voices here. But I do think there's this perception that you want to come off a certain way and be perfect for your boyfriend. And a perfect boyfriend, at least in my mind, when I was younger, would not masturbate or admit to masturbating, and then would also be jealous if my boyfriend masturbated. And so, because I just think I was that insecure. Now we talked about it. I would totally be into it. In fact,
Yeah.
I want to get a boyfriend now so that I can masturbate in front of him. Because
for that reason only, right?
It's going to be a sold out show, Cody.
Hey.
I'm going to sell tickets and all.
That's right. You're going to have a audience full of boyfriends.
I'm going to live
this
stream
show.
it. But Cody, what were your thoughts with Jen's who's saying that all of the two boyfriends that he's referencing saw it as cheating?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen masturbation as cheating, and neither does my partner Joe. Now I feel if he masturbates now, I feel like I missed out on something. That's the only like awkward feelings that I feel like. I'm like, why did you not invite me to the show? Like you were saying just 2 seconds ago, I was like, why did I not get tickets to this show? I want to be included if you're masturbating in some form or fashion. It doesn't always work out like that, but yeah. So I don't think I've never seen it as cheating. And for me, it's also gets into this very gray area of like, if you're loving yourself and self-love and masturbation, they're kind of intertwined with me. So if you're jealous of somebody loving themselves, then that's a very, I don't think that doesn't sit well with me.
Not healthy, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, I still think that, masturbation is a solo act for the most part. But yeah, I think that would be hot to have somebody watch as well periodically.
Have I been doing it wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solo act, but I feel like we were talking about advice for somebody on a recent episode where the person like masturbated excessively and then it almost took over real life sex with their partner, and that can happen too.
Yeah,
where I think
how that's a problem or an
yeah,
issue for the relationship,
right? Or if it's one type of pornography, or you're masturbating and you're just thinking of the same thing, and that's the scale is higher on that than say with your partner. Then I think there's a problem with it, right?
So Jen just wrote in and said that an explanation that he got once was that it was a wasted load, but for me it wasn't wasted because it helps him with stress. Plus, he loves the taste of cum. Good. Oh yes, me too.
Nice. Tasting your own cum. I like that. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. I'm going to go masturbate now. I'm going in the other room. I'm sorry.
But to Jen's point, both you and our other co-host, Jeremy Ross Lopez, have said that it's a stress reliever in many ways. And for anybody, it sounds like with you two and Jen too, you're not even wasting a load because there's some, you're going to be horny again and it's not going to waste it, right? Am I right on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely have a very high libido, so I get horny. I can go like 2 or 3 times sometimes. So yeah, it's not a wasted load. It's a precursor. It's an appetizer, an aperitif, if you will. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think we have to remember too is no matter where you are when you met your boyfriend, you had a sexual life beforehand. Not that you're going to be having sex with other people, but life is really stressful these days, and there is so much going on in the world, and we have these secular lives as well as our partnered up lives too. And so, if nothing else, for a stress reliever throughout the week, I don't think you can expect your partner to become totally celibate from masturbation. I didn't sign that contract.
Never. I never will.
Matter of fact, I didn't sign any contract on it yet. So there was no ring yet on dating.
When you get that contract, I will officiate your wedding. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
You heard it here first.
Well, let's continue on the conversation with porn. Moving on to porn, Billie Eilish was recently on the Howard Stern show, and she kind of caused a stir with what she admitted. She said Billie Eilish began watching porn at 11, and she says it really destroyed her brain. She also went on to say that after seeing it at such an early age, she moved on. It wasn't enough. She moved on to even more graphic types of pornography. And in addition, it warped her ideas about sex and relationships. She says it got to a point where I couldn't watch anything else unless it was violent. I didn't think it was attractive, she confessed. Well, I don't think it was attractive either necessarily.
Yeah.
She also told Stern that she began watching abusive, what she says is abusive, because I want to talk to you a little bit about this, Cody.
Okay.
Abusive BDSM porn, which she says causes her now to suffer from night terrors and sleep paralysis. She says, I'm so angry that porn is so loved, Eilish blasted, and I'm so angry at myself for thinking that it was okay. I think she needs a therapist, first of all, and not
I think we all do.
We all do. But how could you be mad at yourself for something that you were exposed to at 11? For myself personally, we didn't have the internet. Internet wasn't free. I didn't start watching porn until I think I was 19 or 20. We're talking it wasn't even,
Wait.
It was on VHS. What? It was on VHS, and I couldn't rent a VHS tape unless going into an adult bookstore.
There was no cousins with porn.
None. No, this is the 80s, the late 80s. No, there was none, and it was all VHS. Right. Yeah, I did see porn magazines. So yeah, and
Where'd you get those from?
B. Dalton was one of the bookstores back in the day that
you stole from.
I just took pictures. They are no longer in business that I'm aware of, so I think you owe them a check. Oh, I think they're out of business, and they should have had it up there too. Or I would blame them, like Billie Eilish blamed the free porn industry. But it was really just, it was white guys only that I was jacking off to, crazy. And they all that at best so they had they did that pose, the dirtiest pose I think I saw on there was that pose where it's from the back side, so it's the ass, and you're pushing your hard cock down, and you're seeing that side of it.
Okay. From underneath?
From the back. Yeah, underneath. Okay. And it was hard. And that was a turn on for me and really hot.
Oh, wow.
So, but I'm sort of grateful that I don't have Billie Eilish's problem, because I've certainly made up for lost time with free porn. But I'm so glad it wasn't when I was a kid.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on what she said, and do you agree with anything that she said? And when did you start first watching porn?
So at first, when you sent me the article, I was like, girl, Billie, you are so silly. What are you talking about? But then as we discussed it more and I read the article, I started to see her point, because porn can be, I think it's super damaging to self-esteem, especially girl. And it definitely skews your perceptions about sex. And it's not seen about what it truly is to have a loving connection during sex. It's just one type of, it's a fantasy basically. Like I've been saying, I've been shouting from the rooftops for so long. And it's not even, I think we discussed this in our pre-production meeting. It's not even a fantasy of a general fantasy. It's somebody's specific fantasy projected through a lens. So it can go so many different ways. And I think that women especially can be seen as just objects in porn so many times. So I can see where she's coming from and her point as far as that's concerned. Me personally, I was very young when I saw my first porn. And it's so funny because I don't know why, but my cousin had a gay porno, and I guess I was at his house, at my aunt's and uncle's house, and I went upstairs and I just popped it in, and it was a gay one too. I saw gay porn at a very early age, and I have been looking for this gay porn forever. But you
want to relive that initial porn moment? Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
I never got the courage up to ask my cousin why he had gay porn. He's very straight. He has a wife now. And that look that you're giving me, I wish the people could see that look, because it was very telling. I don't know why he had it, but
Lucky for
thank
you, he
him.
did, though.
I thank him because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was so crazy to me. Yeah.
Again, though, with what we're going to talk about in the Vulnerable Voices about body and this ideal of being perfect, I have to say what she is saying about women's bodies don't look like this. I think she even said in the article, vaginas just don't look like that in real life. And
I wouldn't know anything about that.
we talk about porn all the time and how we rate. We're going to do our thirst trap, and it's always about porn stars and guys that have perfect butts and asses. And I think, but we're adults, right? And we can separate what some of these God-gifted specimens have been granted. And but we also talk a lot about on this show about sex positivity, and we've had sex experts on because sex is important, just outside of just watching porn.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that it's very important to make that delineation as far as porn and real life are concerned.
Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so Jen says that his first porn video was called A&F Jocks, and
Abercrombie and Finch.
I don't know. Is that porn? And one of the guys in it was Tommy Cruise, A&F Jocks. Is that Abercrombie and Fitch? Or I'm going to Google it real quick.
I bet it was a take on Abercrombie and Finch.
Oh, like a little parody type deal.
I bet. Because if you looked at any of their ads, it was. He just confirmed it was.
Okay.
If you looked at any of the early Abercrombie and Fitch ads, they played towards a certain crowd. They definitely played towards that erotica and fantasy, always typically one style or one look, white for the most part. Gay baiting for sure.
Yeah.
Straights that want to maybe look like this. And they created a narrative that many people found erotic. And so I could see a porn company creating, taking it to the next level with that for sure, right?
Yeah. I mean, did you buy Abercrombie and Fitch based off of their
no, not at all.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Saw porn advertisements that they had going on.
No, I didn't. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is, but
I am gonna go look for that porn. Tommy Cruise. Okay. All right. It's in
look
my
for
bank
that
now.
porn for sure. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, we have to move on. And this next story really caught my attention. An 81-year-old man alleges he was jailed for having gay sex. So a now 81-year-old gay man with Parkinson's disease has spent 22 months in jail after staff members at a retirement facility found him engaging in sex acts with fellow male residents. Wow. To be clear, and the man, a lawyer for Leroy Martin J. Connor, Corcoran, says the sex was consensual, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. He said his client was incarcerated at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic for being gay. And one of the guys was in his 40s, Cody.
Whoa,
the other one was older.
He likes them young. Okay.
Yeah. One of them was a staff at the facility found Martin, who was in a wheelchair, performing oral sex on a 43-year-old resident, and they reported the incident to a supervisor. It was that supervisor that then reported it to the police because the resident had suffered a brain injury. But the two guys that went on record that admitted to this since said that no, it was consensual, and they said for different reasons. I think they were embarrassed. One of them had only had sex with women before this, but as a result, this guy had to stay. He was in prison, right? And
81. That's crazy.
81. Yeah. And I just think, oh my God, that's so sad for him. The other part, what were your thoughts about this story when you first heard that, though?
I just think that this is a this story is so out there. I can't even imagine at 81. I'm just glad that he's been exonerated and that they finally came forward and said that that the sex was consensual. I'm
Yeah,
just happy.
me as well too. I know, because at first when I was reading it, I was like, "Wait, did he do this when it was non-consensual?" It
Yeah.
was no, it wasn't. But the story goes on to say to look at sexual practices for gay men or men in general.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to find that part of the story. Do you have that part of the story,
Let me
Cody?
look.
And lost it really quickly. That's what happens sometimes here. Let
We
me
are
see.
live.
We are live. Yes.
The Inquirer cites a study by the University of Michigan that showed 40% of those ages 65 to 80 are sexually active. That's what you're talking about, right?
Thank you. Yes.
You're
So
welcome.
40% of those in this particular University of Michigan study are sexually active. And does that surprise you, Cody? That when 40% of us, I'm sure you and I host a gay sex podcast.
We about to
We're
be
going to.
in there.
We're in that 40%. We're about to make it 45%. Everybody,
Hopefully.
hopefully. I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, I just turned 50, so I'm
Mhm.
15 years away from that study, and I'm as horny as ever and sexually active. I can't imagine, knocking
Yeah.
on wood. Yeah. Does that
Literally.
stat surprise? Yeah. Does that stat surprise you that men? I mean, because we do lose our testosterone, the things
Yeah.
that but I've had different guests on the show, like Susan Bratton, who talks about aging and keeping our sex. She sent me all these like supplements that keep the blood flowing, and
Mhm.
particularly down there. And I will
Ooh.
post those soon on Tags Podcast to let you know
I
how
want
they're
some.
working. Yes, I will.
Okay.
And yeah, well, does that study surprise you?
It does surprise me, honestly, because in your mind, I think our society is so ageist. In my mind, I think what society has told me is that when you get older, then that part of your life goes away.
Yeah.
And I think that this study is helping me. As I've gotten older, a lot of the things that society has told me are not true anyway. So I am thankful for this study because it's only going to help me and guide me into my sexual exploration in the future.
All right. And I love that. Absolutely. And you got to keep up with your 30-year-old boyfriend. So,
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I
please.
can.
That's the thing. It's all fun and games to have a young boyfriend until you start aging. But I have no doubts for you. You are, virile and
Oh,
if
thank you,
anything,
darling.
I think if anything, you're gonna have to keep him on board.
This whole
So.
thing.
Got a sex conundrum? Need a third ear or ears to weigh in on your relationship matters? How about a new toy for your toy box? Tags is here for you. Big or small, subtle or not, have the Tags crew give you some solicited advice on sex or your relationships. We've got you. And for a limited time, we'll send you a sexy toy courtesy of Adam's Toy Box, where you already get 20% off all merchandise by using our promo code TAGS. So what are you waiting for? DM us at TAGSPodcast on Instagram or email us your questions. Hear the advice on an upcoming Tags podcast. Then we'll send you a sexy toy courtesy of Adam's Toy Box. Got it? We're waiting, listening, and giving it to you. DM us at TAGSPodcast or email us now.
All right. Well, we've got to move on to our segment that we've taken a break from, but we're coming back to this week. It's called
Yes.
Vulnerable Voices, where we go a little bit deeper. But this week, it's actually stemmed from a couple articles, and one of them caught my attention on New Now Next, and it was entitled Unrealistic Expectations: Why
Mhm.
Queer Men Struggle to Embrace Their Butts. You'll like this one, Cody, because
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Box wrote this, and he says he spends over 7 hours. I spend over 7 hours on my iPhone every day, Bobby writes, which is nearly twice as long as the average American, according to data measurement company Zenith. And while I'd like to chalk this up to the fact that he works in digital media, the truth is, he writes, I probably spend half of that time scrolling through bad takes on Twitter or cruising for a hookup on Grindr. He writes, as a queer man, much of the content I scroll through is either sexual, self-indulgent, or some combination of the two. What's wrong with that? I mean... Someone with a six-pack ab says it's bulking season. Here, someone else casually exposes their hole there. It's all part of the core. And as an active gay on social media, he says that constant exposure to attention-seeking tactics and doctored images comes at a cost to our body image and mental health. And he cites the 2017 Attitude magazine, who surveyed around 5,000 men of its readers and found that 84% feel intense pressure to have a good body. 48% said they were unhappy with their body. And 10% were very unhappy. So the percentage of the publication's readers who were very happy with their appearance, Cody, a slim 1%.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, and it goes on the story to talk a little bit about eating disorders for certain groups. It talks about thicker men and how they are just always feeling that they're judged on social media or not represented. And lastly, to cosmetic surgery and things like an increase in the Brazilian butt lift, BBL for short, which grew 90% from 2015 to 2019 among Americans, despite how dangerous the procedure actually is. And let's just talk about the butt thing really quickly before we dive into it a little bit.
I'm all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always, people have always asked me throughout the years, like, oh, have you, because I was a gymnast, right? And from a little kid till I got a partial scholarship to Berkeley. And that really kind of created the framework of my body. I would argue, though, gymnastics does a lot for that V shape, but not necessarily your butt. And I think if I didn't work out so much, not so much, at least for me, and that's not my body type, what I've done is a lot of squats throughout the years and heavy lifting on squats. And that's what works for me. It's never going to be that bubble huge thing, but I have a butt, if you will.
Exactly.
And it is what it is. Yeah. And I can do squats for days and my butt will get big. My actual legs will never. They just kind of stay lean and they're lean and muscular, but they don't grow at the same rate that my ass does. But people are obsessed with working on their butts and obviously going to extremes like getting procedures like this. But I mean, I can think of, my sister was saying in Oakland, California, the gym where she works out, and there's so many gay guys in short shorts, and they're doing every single lunge, leg press, and booty exercise that you can imagine to have the perfect...
Tell her to send me some videos. I need to see this. Okay. I'm sorry I didn't let you finish. I got too excited.
And then there's these two young guys that go into my gym downstairs in my gym here that literally talk about, because this article was a combination of spending too much time on your phone and the perfect appearance. And the focus was, on butt. These two guys they've got to be in their like mid to late 20s. They're boyfriends. I'm pretty sure. And they walk into the gym the same way. It's with that arched back. They always have sort of a look on their face that looks like they're annoyed or pissed off, or do you know the look that I'm talking about? Like,
I have that look sometimes. What are you talking about?
I'm like smiling. I greet everybody. I mean, if I catch your eye and you're a stranger, you're always gonna get a grin or an acknowledgement. You're polite. These twinks and we're gay and we're all gay in the same building. It's like and I think they're nasty because they're buried in their phone 24/7. They're working out, they do a set and they're buried back in the phone. They do another set and they're buried back in their phone. They don't even talk to each other. They have a scowl on their face, and it's rinse and repeat. And to me, it's like, what are you so unhappy about? I mean,
it's that
really,
social separation. They don't know how to be with people. It's crazy
I think
to me.
that's exactly what it is. And I think it would be exhausting to have a scowl on my face all the time and be uninterested and too good for this and be enjoying 300 butt blasters the whole time. I would hate it. I would hate it.
Wait, butt blasters don't sound that bad. Number one.
500 of them would put a scowl on your face. And they would. I'm just saying.
I say do whatever makes you feel good, but kind of.
I don't think it's making them feel good, though, Cody.
Yeah, exactly. Find that space where get really clear on that space to where you feel like it's not too much and that it's just enough for you to have a positive outlook on life. That's what I think. And I think that these two guys could use me as a life coach. I am a life coach.
Well, you'll have to come work out with me and you can try. I saw them in the elevator and they had no choice. Like they walked in when I was in the elevator and I said hi. And one of them said hi and then looked away. And the other one didn't even look at me and was like, hi, and like head down. And I'm like, I'm going to force them. I'm going to force them to acknowledge me. You will look at me, damn it.
Your beauty was too much for them, darling.
Oh,
that's
please.
what it was.
I just think it's that it's certain age groups, not everybody, but certain people in a certain group that I think they're so unhappy because life is only in this little phone and you can never live up to the expectations that you see if you're constantly scrolling around in your phone. Silas says, hi, Silas. Silas, watching us live tonight, says maybe they're socially inept. You live in New York City. I don't know if you're that inept. I think being on your phone can cause you to be socially inept. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Cody, on all of the whole topic?
Well, I think that I'm going to start with the socially inept part. I think that I agree with you. I think that when you go onto Instagram and you're just so used to having that internet wall, I'm going to say, up about it's basically a wall keeping you from human connection in life. And that's going to make you not as prone to be able to, be able to talk to somebody in the elevator or to maybe they weren't raised right. I don't know. I have no idea. I grew up in the South. You say hi to everybody down there in the South.
Oh, yeah. So, I like that about the South.
Yeah. So I think that the phone and being on Instagram all the time only exacerbates the situation, and it makes it easier for them to be able to separate themselves from other people and just to be there because that's socializing with other people. Now, as far as this article goes, I think it was very normalizing, and I wrote this in my notes, that the article mentions that gay men have a higher body misperception, which I have confessed to on this podcast before. I've seen so many bodies out there that I think are so hot, and then I look at mine, and it's basically the same body type as mine, and I'm picking it apart. I'm like, I can fix this. I can fix this about my body. I don't normally try and fix my butt that much. Maybe it's because in the article it also said that mainly that was something that bottoms did, and
right.
I'm not a bottom, so I don't I don't do as many squats as I should. I skip leg day way too often. And if there was an exercise to make my dick bigger, I totally would do that exercise. But I do feel the pressure to fit in and be thin, and sometimes it gives me thoughts that I don't think are healthy. So I definitely feel that pressure.
I think definitely social media can put that pressure on you. I tend to scroll. I don't really go through it like a lot of people do. Again, I'm a little bit of older school. I
Mhm.
came a little bit later to free porn. And so I noticed some, not everybody, because there are people my age and older even that I've been around that are buried in their phones. So they
Yeah.
just grew quick to that. I'm not that interested in my phone. And if I post for the show a lot. So
Mhm.
who's ever in the current feed of that is who I will see in that rotation. But
Mhm.
I also notice although I follow a lot of hot bodied people throughout the
Mhm.
years that we follow, I also have some really inspirational, like my former trainer on there. And he
Yeah.
might be doing exercises on there with the kettlebell. And I'm like, ooh, I want to try that.
Yeah.
Or because I don't scroll around so much when I do, even if I do see someone's body that I'm like, oh, wow, I'm much either likely to compliment them
Mhm.
or to admire it and think, oh, that's inspiring me to want to go back in the gym and do this, or that's getting me to want to work on my body. I
Mhm.
think at my age now, at 50, I've really come full circle and I really accept where I'm at. I know how to tweak and work harder on certain things when I want to be a little bit leaner. And going into, say, like Christmas week here, I'm going to eat my mom's cookies and
Oh my God.
tamales at Christmas, and
I can't wait.
I'm not going to feel guilty for that. I'm also
Yeah.
probably not going to post myself shirtless that week.
Take
And
them
for the
beforehand. You'll be all right.
take them before, I did one today to promote this
You look
show.
great.
Thank you. But I mean, I know that sort of.
Hey, Tags listeners, craving for more tags? Hungry like I am? Well, now you can unlock exclusive Tags content. I'm talking about our weekly Tags After Show and our twice monthly Dark and Dirty Show. Now you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. You'll get a notice each week when new episodes are dropped exclusively for you. So what are you getting from this exclusive content? Well, you're getting a weekly Tags After Show where the conversation continues with hot gay sex topics in a more relaxed, behind-the-scenes, more intimate format. Our twice monthly Dark and Dirty Show will often feature special guests like my co-hosts, but gets a little darker and a little dirtier as we reveal our sexcapades to your exclusive ears. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe now to unlock exclusive Tags content and know that you'll be supporting Tags Podcast to continue delivering the quality of Tags Podcast you've come to love. You can unlock this exclusive content by going to TAGSPodcast.com and click on the link Tags After Show. Thanks for being a supporter and continue having hot gay sex.
Logic on how to keep it fresh for myself and know that I'm going to indulge and allow myself and not beat myself over it. A lot like Jonathan, actor. Did you read the article that I sent you on
Jonathan
Jonathan
Bennett.
Bennett?
Yeah.
Speaks out on this unhealthy thing so many gay men do. So, actor and TV host Jonathan Bennett is currently busy promoting his appearance on Hallmark's holiday movie. I didn't know there was one on Hallmark too.
Aw.
The
I know we
Christmas
have to watch.
House 2,
We have to
Deck
watch
Those
one more.
Halls. It's called The
Yes.
Christmas House 2, Deck Those Halls. Too bad it's not
Ooh.
Deck Those Balls, and I would really watch it.
That
But
doesn't
this is
sound very Hallmark Channel.
it doesn't, but I want to deck those balls. Bennett, who first, so they go on. He was on Mean Girls, by the way.
Yes, he
Did you
was.
know that?
Oh yes, he was the main love interest. I forget the name.
Yeah. So he goes on Instagram. Bennett praised Hallmark for making the movie and its representation of a same-sex couple, but he also took the opportunity to reflect on his career in Hollywood over the last 20 years and the pressure so many gay men put themselves under to overachieve or appear perfect. Brandon and Jake talk about a lot of things Bennett said, the two characters in the movie, but as a gay man, the part of their story I identified with the most was the desire to have to be perfect. Do you think, Cody, he was talking about, because he kind of talked a little bit about his personal story about perfection as to be perfect in life, not really his body, but do you think he was also talking about appearances too? And is there a lot of pressure to be perfect? There is an appearance, right, Cody?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that he was talking about both, and I can see how it could be all encompassing, especially because he played Aaron Samuels. I remember that while we were going
Oh,
over it. Yeah. And that's the main love interest, and he was supposed to be this penultimate sex symbol, hot guy in the school. So I can see how he would be talking about body image and things of that nature. In Deck the Hall, Silas says that it should be Deck Those Walls, by the way, which I think is
ooh.
fucking genius.
I like that. Good take on that. Thanks, audience.
I will be doing that this Christmas. So but I definitely identify with the whole being perfect thing. It's what I talk to my life coach about the most, honestly. For me, I think it stems from being inundated with messages from social media and society and media in general that being gay was wrong or I'm less than for being gay. So I tried to make up for it by being the perfect brother, perfect son. That's the big one right there. And the perfect person out there that's kind and that people don't see as a threat. It could also be stem from the fact that I'm a black man, and I think that black people are seen as undesirable or what have you, the myriad of things out there. I'm not even going to go over them on this podcast right
No,
now.
that's a different vulnerable voices. Let's keep those for another day. But yeah, I
Okay.
hear you.
I'm writing it down for next podcast, though.
Okay, all right. Absolutely.
In
Maybe
the
not
new
a
year.
holiday one, but in
No.
the new year. Let's chat. Because we want to deck those walls, balls, and all the above next week for our final episode this year of Tags Live. Yeah, I just to wrap things up a little bit on this, I hope that we can all set an intention for the new year to be kind to ourselves, I think, and get rid of the word perfect because it doesn't really exist. Nothing is perfect. And even that cookie that looks perfect isn't perfect. It's going to break. I'm watching the cookie challenge, right? The Christmas cookie challenge, and they break, people.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm learning about flooding. Not that sounds. I know that sounds
Hey,
really.
hey.
It's a technique for painting a cookie.
Walls.
Yeah, and flood those walls. Exactly. But I hope we can all set an intention this new year to lay off the perfection and be kind to ourselves, because I think once we do those, and yeah, maybe lay off a little bit of social media too.
That's what
Those
I
are
was going to
big
make that
aspirations.
point, but then I was like, do I really want to commit myself to not being on social media? And I was like, okay, I'm not going to say it out loud.
Daniel says flooding the walls. I loved it. Okay, well, I really want to get to this next one before we get to Thirst Trap. And this was a Reddit thread that we have to talk about.
I'm glad it's this one.
It's called A Rude Top or an Overly Sensitive Bottom. He writes, I just had a lovely hookup. This guy must be British, of course. I just had a lovely hookup. All good.
Yes, I love that you're doing your Madonna voice.
Shut up. He also asked if I wanted to meet up tomorrow again. Well, we had unprotected sex. I do it if, and I'm considering, he's on prep, he writes. I find it important to mention we didn't use any lube as he rimmed me and I played with a dildo right before meeting. A half an hour later, when he's gone, he messages me about quite abruptly, does your ass normally bleed? Does your ass normally bleed? He asked the question. I found some blood on my dick. You're clean, right? He also wrote. So the guy writing in writes, I mean, the first thing I thought was, what the fuck? And then I also
Yeah.
thought it was a bit rude, downright
Mhm.
rude. I obviously told him I'm clean, checked monthly, and
Ugh.
on prep, and he seems cool about it now. But that was such a turnoff for me, and it really left a bitter taste in my mouth. Am I too sensitive, or was his reaction normal? First of all, well, I just want to tell a quick story on this. When I was in
Okay.
Puerto Vallarta during the holiday, right
Okay.
before
Jose.
holiday and right before Thanksgiving, there I met this guy that I'm hopefully going to see when I go to
Mhm.
Los Angeles, and I'm going to be there over the holiday,
Mhm.
and he actually we had sex after we had
Mhm.
met, and it was great, but he didn't use lube, and he was really, really thick. And I thought of it, and I thought about going back and like either putting some spit, or maybe
I'm
he didn't
aghast.
have lube, but we went with it. And yes, it was a little rough, but I went with it. You know that the next day he apologized. He said, "Hey, that was really hot, and I want to apologize because we didn't use any lube,
Mhm.
and I'm sure maybe your ass may be a little bit rough down there." And I said, "Oh, but I love that he addressed it, but he addressed it from his angle in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, we probably should have, but I was just in the moment." And listen, I could have stopped the moment and said,
Mhm.
"Hey, can we put something down there?" It was all on me too. But I'm planning on seeing him again. So in my instance, I think my guy was polite, maybe not thoughtful at the moment
Yeah.
but I also took responsibility for what occurred. And I like that he addressed it in a text afterwards to see how I was doing. And as a result, the politeness worked for me, and we will see each other come hopefully in the new or when I'm back there in a couple weeks. So
Yes.
it's kind of a different take on this guy's story, right?
I agree. I think that that's a different take. He came at you very politely. Daniel says, "Why aren't we using lube?" And I am going to take it just a little bit further. He says, "Ouch," by the way. And I'm going to take a little bit further and say, how small is this man's penis that he doesn't have to use lube? That's crazy to me. I always use lube. I always discuss, call me old fashioned, I always discuss status before I ejaculate in somebody. That is definite. That's definitely going to happen before I come in somebody. And I find it very offensive, the verbiage of being clean. I think it's very stigmatizing. And
Yes,
I
we
think
were
it's the
we were going to talk
reason
about that too. We were just we
I'm
ta-
getting into it.
we talked about that on previous shows, but definitely I think that guy had one too many marks against him, the top,
Yeah.
for sure, starting with the clean mark, which we've talked about on this show before, which is so offensive. And what does that
Yeah.
even mean? And
Yeah.
why are you asking after the fact? You know, because somebody can be HIV negative on prep. Those are the questions you'd want to know, and you want to ask them before, not after the
Beforehand.
fact.
Exactly. Exactly.
Clean, yeah.
I
And
also want to
blood
say,
has not. By the way, blood is not dirty or clean. It's a result of
because
a
the
friction.
walls in the rectum are very thin.
Back
So
to those
learn
walls.
learn something about anatomy, guy.
Yeah, right. So that's what's number one. What else were you gonna say?
I was going to say it's anal sex, and if you don't want a little bit of, there's a possibility that there could be some poop on there, some mucus, because again, it's an anus. I mean, come on
Yeah,
now.
right.
Let's be. I saw you like you're like, oh no.
Oh no, that was my wine that I was having a little aftertaste.
And you're allowed to be like, oh no, but because it's a little bit uncomfortable. But
Yeah,
if you don't want it, if you don't want any of that to happen, then you shouldn't
right.
be having anal sex. Don't stick your
Exactly.
dick in a butthole. How about that?
I agreed. I think 100% agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a
What
bigger
is
guy, so I'm a bigger guy. So There have been times when all of those things have occurred, and I don't handle it by freaking out on somebody. You make sure that the bottom is okay because
Yeah.
they're the ones that are bleeding. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, and in my story too. And first of all, we should say lube, and lube.
Lube
As
and lube and more
always,
lube.
as Dr. Goldstein, proctologist, has always stated on our show, leading proctologist, and it's so important because it can cause other issues to the rectum area that you don't want. Forget about the poop, forget about just blood there. It can cause other trauma, and I'm using that
Yep.
word as Dr. Goldstein uses it, trauma that you don't want. It's unnecessary if you just use lube, and it's always readily available. I like that my guy, when he checked in with me, though, we were kind of hot in the moment. There was no blood on his dick or anything like that. It was more, he just remembered the moment and wanted to check in with me and said, I
That's
probably,
so sweet.
and I should have used lube. And I should have
He's a
said,
keeper.
yeah, well, I mean, at
Marry
least for
that
another,
man. I'll marry you.
at least a date in LA.
Wait, am I getting you married already? Okay.
Yeah, no,
cute.
there's others on the list. So, but definitely a date again when I go to LA for sure. And yeah, but absolutely no. Anybody else saying anything else before we move on?
So Daniel says, in his opinion, the top from the story couldn't come about it in a more. He could have come about it in a more polite way, and then address his concerns, just like we said. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are almost out of time, and it's our favorite segment. And as we said before, Straight Up Gay Porn is doing we do this thing that they put out all the time on who took the best shot. It's and Thirst Trap, and they are looking to crown a king. And we did round 1 last week. Now we're doing round 2 this week. They're going to pick 5 from round 1 and 5 from round 2. And one winner will win based on your guys' votes and everybody else's that participates in this on the Straight Up Gay Porn Awards. And they'll get like an award. And so we are at round 2. We did round 1 last week. And these are culminated from the entire 2021. So it's the best photos from the whole year. And I put it I will post this on TAGSPodcast.com. I have it in the link right now. Should I go first, Cody, to tell you who?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, I'm curious to know if we pick the same one again this year.
Well, I'm picking somebody. So because it's a culmination of the year, right?
Okay.
And I'm picking somebody that I picked when he was in one of the previous rounds earlier this year. And out of all of the ones that they had in round 2 here, he still gets my vote in this week. And it's by a guy by the name of Vander Pulaski.
Oh, I have to go back and look.
Who's sitting in a campground site where there's pitch tents around him and forest trees all around him, and he's sitting in one of those camp chairs with his legs spread wide open. He's got a trucker hat on. He's fairly hairy, but not overly. Like, he's got the nice hair in the chest and the beard, but his dick is sitting so erect and tall and thick, and his balls are nicely rounding it all out. And it's very much, I said it before when I picked him before, it was like, I just want to sit on that after I worshipped it and get busy with it in the open woods. I couldn't think of a better thing to do. It's the pose, it's this expression, like, come on, get on this. And it's all the above that Vander Pulaski gets my vote. And because you can go on this site and actually do it, I'm going to click it right now for Vander Pulaski. I'm not sure how he's doing, but who was your pick, Cody Marie Stoggett, on this week's?
So first, I want to say that I'm so happy for the winners from last week's poll. They are... and I'm glad that Idolo, our favorite from last week, we picked.
Oh, do they show last week's winners?
They said in the blurb and before they said who won. The Idolo was in it. Him and Dalton Riley, Zach Astor, Ray Dexter, and Roxas Callum. But my vote for this week goes to Austin.
And they're going
Avery.
Austin Avery. Okay.
Yes.
Let me find him. Where is he in the
It's
mix?
a video. He is probably midway almost to the bottom. He's mixing two of my favorite things, sex outdoors and sex in the shower. It's a video, and he's outdoor he's in an outdoor shower, and first he's cleaning himself off, but then he swiftly moves to getting off.
Wow. Beautiful long hair. He's got the moves down.
Cute
He's got
ass.
the smallest waist ever.
Yes. So, but unfortunately, I did you click the poll already?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see who were the top 5?
Let me see. Are anybody voting before we tell anybody about this on our?
Yeah, guys, what do you think? Who do you think is who you guys
Boots
voting
is
for?
number 1. Bo
Boots
Butler
is number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we just shout out to a couple at the very bottom that are going in for it's Remy Duran and Creamy Gorilla.
That is the most hilarious name ever.
Creamy Gorilla is like, I'm obsessed with that name. Creamy
I was like,
Gorilla.
can I even say that? I don't know. That's why they didn't get my vote. I was like, I don't think I'm allowed to say that. I don't know if that's offensive.
Is it? I don't know. I love it.
I'm not touching that one.
Okay,
So
don't
you won't
touch
get me
it.
to
But
say it.
I had to touch it because it was just like, oh my god, I can't with that. What is anybody saying?
Jen says Roman Todd has his vote, and Roman Todd I think is in the top 5. So
Okay, good pick, Jim.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't really look at that, and you should just vote on who you want. Like I said, mine I think is doing okay. Vander Pulaski's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However, this is
vote.
There's time, and by the way, they're picking 5 out of these. So 5 out of last week, 5 out of this week. So your favorite just needs to make the top 5.
Exactly.
And then from there, they will pull the number 1 winner out of the top 10. So just
cool.
that's how that works, Cody.
Well, I don't think my favorite's going to make it, but he's still my favorite, and I'm sticking with him. Okay.
Hey, good. No, stick with your favorite. Stick with your guns. I love it.
Daniel says Bo Butler for him.
And didn't we say Bo's doing great?
Bo is doing well. Him, Boots, Elf, which I think are the craziest names. Elf and Boots. I'm like, okay,
not more than Creamy, not more than Creamy Gorilla. It doesn't get any crazier than Creamy Gorilla.
You're right. I'm inclined to agree.
I can't with that name, but okay. Anyways, this has been so much fun. We want to thank you for playing and tuning in. All of the show notes will be on Tags Podcast tomorrow. Follow us on social media at Tags Podcast, and that includes the TikTok at Tags Podcast. Join us on that. Follow my co-host Cody Maurice Doggett at Mr. Maurice on Instagram, or he's a life coach at KMD Coaching. Yes. Cody, thanks so much. So much fun.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah, we've got 2 more shows next week before the holiday, and you don't want to miss our Christmas special next Wednesday live, 9 p.m., December 22nd, where hopefully we'll have some special guests. It should be a lot of fun. In the meantime, continue having hot gay sex. Night, guys.
Good night, guys.
It takes a lot of ingredients to fix or build a car, like cooking, but without the frozen dinner easy way out. eBay Motors has 122 million parts. It's always the right fitment, so you can follow any recipe to a T. Whether it's a vintage Italian coupe that's classic like Grandma's meatballs, or a German luxury car that's as complicated as Oma's rouladen, to cook up something great in the garage, use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.